In this lesson, we will add one of the more advanced and infinitely useful field types, date and time. Events typically take place at a specific point in time. We also want events to display in lists of upcoming events, and we want those lists to automatically update when an event passes without having to edit the site. All of this is easily done because of the special date and time functionality in fields. As with the telephone field, it would be possible to simply use a plain text field for the date and time. You would not, however, receive any of the benefits of a content management system and database queries in displaying your events. You also wouldn't be able to do fancier things such as enabling your end user to add events to their personal calendars with the click of a button. We're currently on the Manage Fields tab for the event content type, and we're going to go ahead and add a new field. The type of field that we want to add is a date field. So we're going to go ahead and choose that. In this case, we want date and time for the date type, but you could choose date only if your events are not time specific. And there's only going to be one value for the event date because events in this case will only happen once. You can add help text here. We're going to skip that for now. But what we are going to do is make this a required field because we want to make sure that our events are always set in a time. You can also add a default value, which can be the current date or a relative date, such as 3 days from now. Right now, we're going to leave that as none, and then we'll go ahead and save this settings. Let's head over to the existing event that we've already made, this homemade baby food event. And we're going to edit this so that we can add a date and time to this particular event. I'm going to scroll down, and here we have event date right here. This is helpful because it tells us the format and gives us an easy set of fields to enter our date and time into. There are other ways that we can have the event date field work in terms of how the content editor manages the content that's in that field. So I'm going to head over to the content type itself, and we're going to go into the Manage Form Display tab and find Event Date, which is down here at the bottom. This is the node form, not the display for the end user, but the display for the content editor. You'll see that the display options available to me are date and time or select list. So if I wanted the behavior to be different for my user, I could try select list and see what that looks like. There are settings available here. So for example, time type could be the 12-hour time instead of the 24-hour time. The time increments can also be set differently based on what I want to do here. If I update this and save it, now I'll go back to this event node to the edit form and reload, and we'll see what that field looks like. So now it's a whole bunch of select lists. This isn't necessarily more helpful, but you're going to figure out what user interface is more helpful to your user based on the specific needs of your site and your user base. For the purposes of this site, however, we're going to set it back to the date and time field display because that's more useful. I'm going to go back to the node form here, reload, scroll down, and now I have the fields that are a little bit more handy for what I'm doing. Go ahead and actually add a date and time here. And then we'll save this and keep this particular node published. Scrolling down to the bottom, now we see the event date and time displayed right here.